Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another podcast episode. Wow, I'm tripping over my own speech right now, but glad to have you guys here. And I'm trying something new because I'm actually multi-streaming. So what I mean by that is that I'm actually streaming from YouTube and I'm also streaming to Instagram. So I'm kind of testing this out. So I would really love some feedback. Let me know if you guys are hearing double audio or anything like that. So then that way I can kind of jump in and try to fix the audio. So I would really appreciate your help if you guys wouldn't mind doing that, to let me know. Give me a sound check, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Let me know. At the same time too, also if you guys could hit the like button on whatever platform you're watching this on, whether it be Instagram or if it's on YouTube, hit the like button because that would truly do me a solid. I would truly appreciate that. As you're coming in, feel free to say hello. Just drop a comment, say what's up, how's life, tell me how your life is going. I know we've had a very interesting past day, and so yeah, I'll get into that here in a little bit. Anyways, if you guys want to help out the channel, right up there, the QR code, you guys can see. You guys can leave me a tip. It doesn't matter what you guys tip me. You can tip me whatever you guys want to. It's on Venmo. But you use the QR code at the upper left over there. And if you want to cop one of my shirts right down there, Team Nexus, Team Pixel, you can grab one, scan the QR code, you can get one. Rock it, wear it with pride. Yeah, sorry for those who are fans of Apple and iPhones. I don't have any shirts that kind of like push for iPhones or anything like that. And really, you know, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm going to be coming out with some new merch later on this year, probably by December of this year. I've been so slacking on getting merch up for people. So, Joys at San Joaquin Valley, welcome. Glad to have you in here. Yeah, I'm giving it a few minutes for everybody to get caught up with notifications, knowing that I'm live and everything like that. So if they want to kind of like jump on in, to say what's up, that'd be pretty cool. Today's topic primarily focusing on if the iPhone 7 cooked the Pixel 10. I want to have this discussion. It's very interesting, very, very interesting, as to, just the whole ordeal with it. But before getting started, I do want to take a moment. Something tragic happened yesterday. I'm not going to dive too much into the discussion. I'm not going to have a whole debate thing about it or a discussion about it, but I do want to offer my condolences to the Kirk family. It was very sad news yesterday of finding out what happened. And you know what? I'm not here to pass judgment on people. I'm not here to entertain that aspect. A man lost his life, and it was tragic. So whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, that's you. You have every right to have that belief, that thought. But let's just, I would just ask people to just, be humane about this, whether you like the man or not. And yeah, just respect his family. We don't need any wildness or anything like that. So with that being said, again, like I said, my condolences to the Kirk family. Rest in love, Charlie Kirk. And yeah, tough spot, and happening a day before today, because today marks 24 years later after the whole events that happened that gripped the country in chaos. So we do our condolences to the families again who were affected by 9/11 24 years ago. And yeah, so much tragedy. So it hurts, it sucks. Yeah, I figured I would just open up the live stream with that. Let's see. Yeah, all right, I think I had the QR code up long enough to get a shirt. If you guys, I'll put it up again at the end of the live stream. Let me take it off screen for right now. Joy the San Joaquin Valley says, sorry about the Pixel 10 phone, but there is no excuse for not being able to call 911 for emergency. Shame on Google. I think people are too quick to pass judgment on that, because they're not the only one that's ever had a 911 bug. So if you're gonna criticize Google for that, you better criticize, Samsung for that, because Samsung has had that in the past. You got to criticize Apple for that, because Apple has had that in the past. I think that's like one of the things that's in mobile tech today. And you may hear me kind of emphasize like how this mentality of ours has affected and changed a lot of what goes on YouTube and in the tech space. Why there's tech creators that are just like starting to dabble outside of it. It's because of this thing. Like you could have that opinion all that you want, and that's fine and dandy. Like, shame on Google, for it happening, right? We don't even know the reasons why it happened, first of all. So we don't even know if it's really like solely a Google responsible thing, or if it was a carrier responsible thing. Because if you actually did research and read into it, there are people who are just like, it was Google Fi customers that were affected mostly. And if it's Google Fi, then it'll be more on the carrier side, right? So Verizon customers, T-Mobile customers, AT&T customers wouldn't have been affected, right? We don't know. I've done my research on this whole issue with the whole 911 bug. And let me just kind of spell it out for people who are just so blanket minded that they think like, oh, every Pixel 10 dials 911 and they get this really odd, weird, crinkly sound during the call. Because it's not like the call fails. The call does not fail. So let's get that right. You don't hit 911 or just hit 9, hit call, and then it just, boop, call failed. It doesn't say that. The call goes through. There's an audio issue where you hear this weirdness on it. Almost like a distorted sound or like an intercepted frequency. Because that's exactly what happened, right? The story, for those who don't know about the Pixel 10 bug with the 911 emergency calling is that a man called 911 from his phone and he got this really odd audio sound. He couldn't hear the dispatcher. He just heard some weird audio. So what happened was he disconnected his call on the Pixel 10. He called 911 from his Pixel 7. He explained the situation, what happened. The dispatcher called his phone back, his Pixel 10. He answered the call, and then he heard the dispatcher, and the audio was clear. So it's not like it was a call failed. It was just a weird audio bug with an emergency 911 phone call. And not every Pixel 10 user is affected. There are Pixel 10 users that have tested 911 calls and everything was fine. Not just one call, but several calls, and they've all went through with no problems. Then there are some who've tested it themselves and have ran into an issue. I just tested it again this morning and my call went through. So, it's easy to point the finger at a tech company and say, shame on you for this, but you have to condemn other companies too. You can't just go on one. So, again, this whole 911 bug issue, Google's well aware, and it's going to be fixed. And when people act like that it can never be fixed, and they create this mass hysteria hype, it's really ridiculous in my opinion. Google's a tech company that makes the Android OS. Android OS is used by many phones manufacturers, so it's a serious issue. I'm not saying it's not a serious issue, Michael. What I'm saying is if you're going to condemn one company for that bug, you better condemn all. You know what I mean? This whole pick and choose, this is why, and I'm going to say this with all honesty, this is why that things today are the way they are today. That type of mentality. Okay? It's for that very reason. Like, I'm not dumbing it down. I'm not saying that it's not a serious issue. I've addressed this in the video yesterday. So I'm not saying that it's not a serious issue. What I am saying is that it's an issue that can be fixed. I don't know what it is. I mean, I honestly feel like that people should take themselves and put themselves in the shoe of that. If this was your company, how could you, and I really want you to answer this, Michael, how could you avoid something like this if Google was your company? What would you have done to guarantee that there would never be a 911 bug issue? You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, shame on them. That's what I said. Shame on them for this happening and them not knowing, right? Because that right there is the ultimate point, is how did it not know when they've had, you know, beta testers? Because you can't, people who don't know this, the Pixel 10 has been out in people's hands. Obviously, Google has people selected to test these things out. And so how did they not? Or do they not ever try? That would be my only concern with Google, is like, do you guys ever try making an emergency 911 test call? Because if they're not doing that before they put these phones out, I think it's something that they should start doing to get these phones basically out without this type of bug. Any other bug, visual bug, audio bug, you know, display bug, camera bug, I mean, that's minor, right? So yeah, we're not dumbing it down. We're not trying to downplay it or whatever. Now I would get on Google's butt for how long it takes them to fix this bug. That's the real key, right? Now, for me personally, I would say that hopefully they know what the issue is as of today and are already working on the issue for it to be rectified tomorrow, this weekend. If this bug continues on until Monday, and we all rise up in unison and kind of just like flame Google for it. But we got to know what it is. We got to know what it was that caused that. Test the devices before shipping the devices to the carriers for sale customers. Yeah, I mean, well, and you know what? Verizon could also test them out too. But ultimately, Google should be testing this before they even send anything out to any of the carriers, right? So I agree with you there, Michael. Like, it has to be tested. And I think this is one of the things that they need to go and be tested on in the future. For future Pixels coming out, that they need to actually do that. But, you know, I'm trying to curb a mentality that is circulating in the tech industry, because for most people don't understand, this is kind of why like the tech space is becoming so daft and dull. You know, nothing is 100% perfect out there. Nobody makes a Big Mac the same way perfectly, right? Like if we're gonna pinpoint, you know, it's got to be that way for everything out there, or just don't say anything at all type of thing, you know. But glad you brought that up, because if you guys want to check out the video on YouTube, check out my video where I discuss about, you know, the Pixel 10 911 emergency bug, who's affected by it, things that you could do to try to rectify it, what you can do in the meantime, and yeah, as soon as there's an update that fixes this issue, know that I will make a video to let everybody know, so that way people can update their Pixel 10s and get this issue fixed. But the question of today that I want to talk about in this video is, did the iPhone 17 cook the Pixel 10? This is a thing that's like going on with social media today. Like, as soon as the iPhone 17 was announced, a lot of people went in and just started to, I guess, count the Pixel 10 out. I don't understand why. Yes, you guys know I'm a Pixel fanboy. I don't need to have to like always say it for people to understand it. I will always enjoy using Google Pixels. I enjoy using my Pixel 10. You know, the iPhone 17 did raise the bar, you know, and I'm happy for iPhone users to be excited for the iPhone 17. Massive changes, right? The iPhone 17 now getting 120 hertz refresh with the Pro Motion display, right? Going from 1 hertz to 120 hertz on the refresh rate for the display. So the fluidity and the motions on your display will be much better than previous iPhones. And I'm talking about base model iPhones that had 60 hertz refresh for so many years. Now the 17 has it, right? The 17 has a bigger battery. The 17 has faster charging. Okay, there's all these things you can celebrate with the iPhone 17, and I am so glad that this year Apple users did not get ripped off with another mediocre to a broken promise upgrade, right? It is okay to have different opinions. Your opinion can give me a different view to slightly change my opinion based on facts. Yeah, I mean, but you know what? You should always stick to your guns. You know what I mean? I have my opinions on things, and you have your opinions on things. The one thing I will never do to you is I will never trample you out off my platform because you have a difference of opinion from me. That's something that I think the world needs to start accepting, that people will have difference in opinions and have difference in thoughts. And you know what? It's okay to agree to disagree. I'm a firm believer in that. You know that, Michael. You've been on here chatting with me on my live stream for like so many years now. You already know how I am. But anyways, iPhone 17. So like for instance, my older sister, she loves iPhones, right? She has an iPhone 14 Pro, I believe. So if she was to ask me if it's worth upgrading to the iPhone 17, I am definitely going to tell my sister, yes, it is definitely a noteworthy upgrade to move up to the iPhone 17. I don't know if she's going to go for the iPhone 17 Pro or if she's going to go for the iPhone 17. I wouldn't advise her to go for the iPhone 17 Air, but if she does go for the iPhone 17 Air, hey, it is what it is, right? Thinner phone, A19 Pro chip inside of it. It's very interesting the path that Apple went, right? Putting the logic board and everything under the camera plateau is what they call it, allowing just the mass of the body to be space for battery. Now, it doesn't have what I would consider to be a powerful battery for the Air model only, which is why they have that accessory, that MagSafe battery, that battery bank to connect to the back of the 17 Air. Obviously, I could already have a feeling that the battery life on it is going to be trash. I'm being honest with everybody. It's going to be trash. However, I think more people are going to be upgrading to the iPhone 17 base model or going to the iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max. Those are the ones I think. I think the iPhone 17 Air is like a novelty for Apple fans. So a diehard Apple fan with, heavily immersed in the Apple ecosystem is definitely going to grab an iPhone 17 Air to have it within their collection, right? But anyone that just uses an iPhone because they like iOS, they like iPad OS, they like Mac OS, will more than likely probably choose the 17 or the 17 Pro series. And the 17 had made gigantic upgrades. Okay, I just mentioned a couple of them just a few minutes ago. I'll reiterate: battery has gotten better on the base model. Charging speeds has gotten better on the base models. The cameras have been moved up a little bit. So with all this, and then the biggest one of them all is that the iPhone 17 base model starts off at 256 gigs of internal storage. So this is like some of the stuff that people that are saying that the Pixel 10 is cooked is referencing to. They're referencing to all these changes. Now, some of these changes, Android phones, especially the Pixels, have already had. Right? You look at the Pixels for the last couple of years, they've had 120 hertz refresh. They've had that refresh rate. So it's nothing new. So does the iPhone 17 cook it on display refresh rate? No, it doesn't. Okay, they're pretty much equal. Now, yes, the Pixel 10 in particular, it has it from 60 hertz to 120 hertz. Whereas the iPhone 17 can go as low as 1 hertz and as high as 120 hertz. So yes, a little bit more battery saving when it comes to the refresh rate of the display. Now, somebody like me who really does not care about how fast or how fluid the screen scrolls, I am not concerned about 120 hertz refresh. My phones are kept at 60 hertz. I don't care. I don't care how smooth it scrolls because it doesn't bother me. Every day that I pick up my phone, I am interacting with social apps. I'm interacting with Facebook, with Instagram, with Threads. I am interacting with those social platforms that I'm on. I'm interacting, watching content on YouTube, watching TikTok, watching Clapper, watching Instagram Reels. I am interacting with that. So 120 hertz refresh, while it can make things look smooth, it can make things look, just really good. I am not concerned about that. So for me, in my opinion, that doesn't fly. To other people, it might. To other people, they might want it to be a certain way. To other people, they might want it, a faster, smooth. I mean, there are people out there who watch stuff and they're probably just slightly, a little freaking out about, how smooth a video looks or, displays or any of that type of stuff. And, if that's the case, then yeah, that it will matter to you. But either way, both phones can go up to 120 hertz refresh. So we'll give it that. Yeah, hopefully they get it fixed as soon as possible. Brandon Brucker, glad to have you here, man. So not important in my opinion, since budget phones have it. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I'm pointing out, right? Is that there's a lot of phones out there that have 120 hertz. So for people that are saying the iPhone 17 cooks the Pixel 10 because it's got promotion, it's great that they have promotion now in a base model iPhone. I'll give them that, but it's not something that I feel cooks the Pixel 10. So then let's switch it up. Storage capacity, right? Pixel 10's base model starts at 128. Yes. iPhone 17 starts off at 256. Both phones are $799. I got it. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that it happened this way. I know some people will probably freak out when I say this, but just hear me out. The reason why I feel like it's a good way that the iPhone 17 starts off at 256 is because it's going to force everybody else to start at the 256 base storage, right? Google didn't do it this year with the Pixel 10. They decided to go with 128, and they charge $799 for the phone. You have the iPhone 17 that starts off at 256 gigs of internal storage. They're charging $799. So I feel like that this kind of twists the arm of Google to say, hey, Pixel 11 next year, base model starting at 256, right? Because the Pixel 10 did something that the iPhones did a couple of years ago, which was eSIM only, which there are people who are not fans of that. I understand why people are not fans of that, but they did it. They pulled the plug. They went eSIM only on the Google Pixel 10s, right? So there's things that Apple does, and Pixels will follow in suit. Samsung will follow in suit. These companies all copy each other. Yeah, but it's LTPO tech. Either way, that how you look at it when it comes to the display, there are people who don't care, right? They don't care the refresh rate. They don't care the type. Then there's people that do, like gamers. Gamers will absolutely care how the display looks. But then again, these are two different machines, okay? Tech Odyssey, who's another Pixel fan, said something in his video the other day that I totally agree with. Comparing a Google Pixel to an Apple iPhone is like, in his words, comparing a sports car to a super bike. All right? Yeah, they are both automobiles. They both travel on the road. They both have engines. They both have tires. But they are two different things. One's a super bike. One is a sports car. Okay? So they have two different goals in mind. This is the kind of the reason why, with this whole reignited wars between the iPhone and the Pixel, I have not participated in this argument and thrown shade at Apple. I could, because there's not really an answer to, right? If I wanted to be a total prick, I could have asked everyone who was excited for the iPhone 17 when they're like, oh yeah, Pixels is cooked, iPhone smashed it. I could have easily asked one question, and that question is, what happened to Apple Intelligence? Yeah, that's hitting below the belt. But in all honesty, that's absolutely true. And it's a real question. I'm saying it as a real question now. I'm not saying it to poke fun at Apple, but what happened to Apple Intelligence? I will tell you this, when Apple fans are like, oh yeah, we got live translations with iPhones now, and what? I mean, that's a silly argument to make, because Obviously, they didn't watch the Pixel 10 keynote to know that Pixel 10s have live translation. They have it to where you can hear the other person's voice in your native language when you have the live translation on. So it's not just, through the AirPods that, you would get. Like, you wouldn't have to use AirPods and then use the screen of your Pixel to conversate. The live translation happens both ways. It happens in phone calls, right? You could be on a phone call with somebody and speak in your native language, and as you're speaking, it translates on the call and it mimics your natural voice, which is a huge thing. Okay, so that's why I said, like, what happened to Apple Intelligence? And that's why I say the Pixel and the iPhones, while they're both smartphones, while you can make phone calls from them, while you can send text messages from them, while you can send, pictures from them, while you can record video and send it from them, that's about as much as in common as these two phones have. Apple has a different end game goal that they want for their iPhones, and Pixels have a different end game goal that Google wants for them, right? Google's heavily invested in AI. Okay, Apple is not. They're only telling you guys Apple Intelligence because they know that people right now today are fascinated with AI, and so they have to tell you what is relevant today to be considered relevant. But does Apple actually really care about AI? Not the same way as Google does. I will tell you, from having 2 years of iPhone, bro, now, and being on eSIM, I see no difference between speed, coverage on eSIM versus physical SIM. Yeah, no, there's no difference in that. But there are people who are just, like, when things are new, and this is what happens in tech, and I understand this, so I'm not poking fun at it, but I understand this. If it's something new, it scares people. People, like Garth Algar from Wayne's World said it. If you don't understand that reference, then you're not as old as me. But he said it. He said, change, we fear change. People do fear change. When something changes that's outside of their norms, they don't gravitate to it right away. Like with the iPhone 17 Air, I know there's people that's reserved about that phone because of the battery size and how much battery life you'll get out of it, whatever. However, as it ages, I'm sure 3 years from now, we're going to get videos from other content creators that talks about how amazing the iPhone 17 Air is, how Apple was so smart to put this phone out. It happens. Right now, people are just, it's not normal for them. So does the iPhone 17 cook the Pixel 10? No, it doesn't. It does not. Are there things that the iPhone 17 has that's better? Yeah, there is. But there are things that the Google Pixel 10 has that's better than the iPhone. So that's just the reality of it. Every phone is going to have something good and something bad about it. So what do I expect for the Pixel 11 next year because of the iPhone 17's launch? I expect Pixels to follow with the base model storage, 256 starting off. I expect that because app services, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The more bigger they get, the more space they require. I mean, look, think about it right now. I have 128 gigs of internal storage on my Pixel 10. I don't use up all that storage, right? But I've noticed in the past 2 years, of everything that I keep on my phone, I've already used half of the storage capacity on it. Whereas 5 years ago, I would use only a quarter of it, right? So apps are getting bigger. Data that is, cached and stored from these apps is getting bigger. It's using up more resources. So yes, we are at the dawn of where the page must turn, and 256 gigabytes of internal storage should become the base capacity of all smartphones starting out in 2026. That is my opinion going forward. I think eSIM is like 5G. It is new experimental technology that is being slowly deployed. differently by each carrier, MNOs and MVNOs in the US. I would just say MNOs. Throw out the whole MVNO thing because MVNOs can only do things that the MNO allows them to do, right? Like, Verizon wanted to make sure that, like, customers got, access to eSIM usage, right? They're going to put it out for Verizon customers first before allowing Visible and MobileX and Total by Verizon and TracFone. Before allowing them to be able to have their customers activate on eSIM, they're going to make sure that Verizon customers have access. So when it comes to activating eSIM, it all falls on the MNOs. So the three carriers in this country, it falls on them, and they have total control over that. But you're right, Michael. It's just like 5G, and it's always a scare. It's always different. I dropped on my shorts channel, my short form content channel, Short Side of Tech. I dropped a video where I was telling people about the whole eSIM only with Pixel 10, and I said, because one person was just like, what if I want to travel internationally? You go to another country, you get a SIM card from one of those vending machines at the airport over there. You pop it into your phone, and you have data. I said, yeah, that sucks. You can't pop in a physical, SIM card into your Pixel 10 when traveling. Okay, I get that. There are some carriers internationally that don't support eSIM yet. I understand that too. What can you do? Is what I tell people, like, Google Fi is one way that you can actually use your phone internationally on vacation. You don't have to stay with Google Fi. That's the beauty of it too. You can opt in for their flex plan, so you only pay for data that you use when you're traveling internationally, or you can go with their unlimited premium plan and get unlimited data service while you're out there. Works in over 200 plus countries. But the point is, you'll be able to use data to send emails, send photos, and check your social medias and stuff, and you'll be able to get phone calls and text messages abroad. So that may not be like getting a SIM card from a carrier, say in Germany, or a carrier in France, but at least it allows you the ability to still use your phone overseas. And then when you get back to the US, you can cancel Google Fi, or you can pause the service in case you're going to travel again in like a couple of months. You can just pause the service and then resume the service when you're traveling again. But if you're not going to use it for if you're not going out the country for another couple of years, well, then you can just cancel. There's no contract with Google Fi. So that would be the workaround that I would give people when it comes to the Pixels and international use. Oh, I'm talking about Pixel. Because there are still people who are upset that the Pixel 10s are eSIM only. So and they, I mean, I appreciate it. People recognize that, I'm a big fan. Like, I'm a Pixel super fan, and I appreciate that people recognize that. So they hit me in DMs with questions, or, what are my thoughts on this, and that about the Pixel? And it's like, hey, I'll give you my thoughts on it. But, that's a workaround for international usage. Use Google Fi. That's true, person in chat. But you also got to realize that the import fees for that device. Yeah. Yeah, TJ, meet Titus. Titus, meet TJ. TJ's a longtime follower of the channel. I appreciate, all the times that TJ comes in to hang out, chat, and talk tech with me. And TJ, that is a homie Titus. He's one of my moderators on the Boost Mobile group page on Facebook. Glad to have you guys here. Glad you guys met. Yeah, there are fees you have to pay to import, products. So if you wanted a Pixel 10 with a physical SIM card, my advice to you is take a vacation to Canada. Drive up north to Canada and buy one there, because the international models still have physical SIM cards. Its compatibility may be questionable. But if you're using T-Mobile, likely odds chances that an international Pixel 10 will work on T-Mobile is very high that it will work on T-Mobile. T-Mobile seems to be like the gateway to international usage, right? This is why Google Fi uses T-Mobile for their network connectivity for their customers, because T-Mobile has got great international deals in place with multiple carriers across the world. This is why Google Fi can travel and you don't have to worry about programming, provisioning, or doing anything to your phone on Google Fi. That's the reason why that I use Google Fi service. Like, I liked MobileX. All right, Isaac, I appreciate you for being here, bro. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I used MobileX for some time. I like the service. I know it's changed. I know it has changed, right? The QCI level of MobileX has changed. I think it's QCI 9 now. They changed up their plans. The $25 plan is no longer fully unlimited. It went back down to 30 gigs of priority data access. If you want fully unlimited, there's a $50 plan that gives you fully unlimited service. But you're on QCI 9. You're basically like similar to Visible base plan, right? The Visible $25 plan. But you're still able to connect, right? You still have, decent speeds for Facebook, for X, for Threads, Instagram, all that type of stuff. So you're good and golden on that. I like phones that includes the option of physical SIM cards and physical SD cards. Cloud storage requires constant connections. Yes. Of course, right? That's one of the things. However, they've kind of forced our hands into that. They forced us to use cloud storage. They forced us. It's the same way like back in the day when I was telling everybody I wasn't ready to go, fully wireless with earbuds because I liked my Nakamichi headphones. That was like a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack required. And people were like, oh yeah, you got to go Bluetooth now. It's like, no, but I want to use wired. Of course, there's workarounds for it, right? Where you can still use them, but the audio quality is not the same as having like a direct wired plug-in, right? Back in the day. Nowadays, Bluetooth has become so much better that like the latency between the distance of the headphones and the device is a lot faster than what it was before. So, but again, like I said, change. Everything changes. Tech is going to keep growing. Tech is going to keep evolving. Tech is going to keep getting better. Like I've told people, the positives in going full eSIM is less waste, right? They don't have to shell out money to have SIM cards built. They don't have to program these SIM cards, right? SIM cards is not a piece of cardboard that has like a copper pallet on it that you just plug into a phone and it starts working, right? Like these SIM cards have to be programmed. They have to be assigned an ICC ID number. That would differentiate them from the other millions of physical SIM cards that's out there. So like all these things are going to stop having to happen. And you got to remember, the cost of these things is passed down to you, the customer. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, they don't eat the cost to manufacture SIM cards. They make their customers do it. But again, it's like hide in plain sight. They're not going to tell you guys like, oh yeah, the taxes you're paying for your service includes having us to have to build SIM cards. So the fact that physical SIM cards are going away is a good thing. Another experience that I personally had several years back, I think it was like in 2016, it happened to me where I was robbed at gunpoint for my phone. Was it 2016 or 2015? 2015, I think it was 2014 into 2015, because my mom had came to visit me for Christmas. I was robbed at gunpoint, and they couldn't locate my phone because I was using my phone was rooted. I had rooted the ZTE Max. You guys remember that giant ass phone from Boost Mobile? But they pulled the SIM card out. So the app service that I had on that phone, because I had rooted the ZTE Max, I had installed Cerberus, which was an anti-theft app. I don't know if you guys remember that app called Cerberus. It allowed you to do so many things like track the phone, right? As long as the phone had a connection to internet, to data, you can track it. By it having access to data, allowed you to remotely access the camera without the thief knowing that you did, and you can take a selfie of them. So you have who they look like that's holding your phone. You can have it record 10-second, clips with audio intervals, so you could hear what they're saying. I was so close to getting my phone back, but then the police were ignorant as hell. They were like, "Oh, can you make the phone ring so we can listen to it? Because you're pinning it and it's between these three houses, so we need to know which one has it." And it's like, if I ring the phone, it's going to scare the thief. They're going to do something to silence it quick. And sure enough, they did. I already knew what they did because I had turned on video recording with the selfie cam. I had made the phone ring as the police asked me to, otherwise they were just going to leave. And as soon as the ringtone hit, that person that was messing around trying to get into the phone because they were trying to figure out my password, threw the phone into a sink or a toilet, because all I saw was like the waviness of liquid, which I assume is water. So, and that back then, budget phones weren't IP68 water and dust resistant. So the phone for sure got damaged. But if it had eSIM, there would be no SIM card for them to pull out and throw away. It would maintain a constant connection. The only way that they would be able to block that connection is to power the phone off. but they want to get into the phone so they can erase it and they can put their SIM card in it. So eventually they're going to have to turn the phone back on, which immediately can alert me that the phone is back on and I can immediately track where it is. That's one of the advantages of having eSIM only. The other thing is well, at least for me, I can say this because Google Fi, it's pretty easy to install an eSIM. Visible has a slightly easy way to do it too. Like you don't have to contact customer care. That's one thing that I know with both Google Fi and Visible. You don't have to contact customer care for eSIM. Literally, you just go into the app and do it. Like with Visible, you sign into your Visible app. You double check the new phone's IMEI to make sure it's compatible. Then you begin the switch process. In that, you get a security code sent to you. You confirm the security code, and then it allows the new phone to download an eSIM and to activate it. Well, today there's no reason to root an Android phone. There's a lot of Android phones have what root used to give back in the day. When I'm talking about that story, I'm talking about the ZTE Max from like 2014, bro, where it only had like 8 gigabytes of internal storage, where if you wanted to increase the amount of internal storage, you had to root your phone because you were going to bond a micro SD card as part of the internal storage. That was one of the benefits of having root, was expanding your internal storage. This was before adoptable storage was a thing in Android, right? So this was in the days of Jelly Bean, Ice Cream Sandwich, Kit Kat. I'll talk about Android flavors. Nowadays, you don't really need to root your phone for anything. The only thing that I see people rooting their phone for is because they want full control over the phone. They want to customize the phone completely the way that they want it to be, and or they want to cheat on a video game. That's the only things you would root an Android phone for today, honestly. It's just like launchers, third-party launchers have really faded into the wayside, right? The Pixel UI is so good that there are people. I mean, yes, there's people who don't like it and think it's ugly, but that I digress from that. But for the most part, it is pretty customizable. It's making a lot of Android users content, so they find no reason to want to root their Android phone anymore. But if you ever need to, you can. If you ever need to root it, you absolutely can do it. There are people who root their phones to get master control over their Android phone because they want to clone an IMEI from an old phone that they have, because the carrier that they were with screwed them over and does not want to unlock their device. I'm not going to go further into that. That's not my thing. I don't teach people how to do that. So, yeah, if you want to know so badly, Google's your friend. Search Google or DuckDuckGo it. If you don't trust Google. That's about as much as I'll speak on that subject. But however, yeah, most people don't need to root their Android device anymore. It's just like most people don't really need to jailbreak their iPhones anymore. I mean, jailbreaking was like a huge thing back in the day. If you guys remember that, for iPhones, jailbreaking was like it. A lot of people were just wanting to do it. They're always trying to find ways to jailbreak the next version of iOS, so that way they can do more with their iPhone, right? These days, people are just pretty much content with what they have. They like what they have. So at the end of the day, going all the way back to the subject at hand, I'm going to tell people again, I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but I will tell you, if you ask me, the iPhone 17 did not cook the Pixel 10 at all. So 2 different machines, 2 different point of views, heading in 2 different directions. If they were heading to the same direction, then it's more gaugeable to compare, but it's not. There are things the iPhone 17 did right, and I feel like that's a great thing for iPhone users who have been waiting for a upgrade of this magnitude, and big shout out to them. But it doesn't make me feel like that my Pixel 10 is obsolete. It doesn't make me feel like I have buyer's remorse. My Pixel 10 is solid. And the things that I use my smartphone for, it does what I need it to do, and it does it very well. Plus, I love messing with AI. Like, By the way, I apologize. I haven't done fun with AI in a couple of months now. I'm sorry. Every time I could have the opportunity to do it, it just doesn't come to my mind. So it's my fault. It's my bad. You guys, those who liked it can get mad at me. My fault, but I will, like, before I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna upgrade. Basically, I'm gonna upgrade to Gemini Pro because I want to be able to do more. Like, I want to see what else I can build with AI with just command prompts and see what I can come up with. Something more than just games. I mean, a lot of people are doing it. Chris Perillo, shout out to him. He has weekly live streams, or you know um he does the same thing, a fun with AI on his channel. He shows you what he builds. He has his arcade. That you can find his arcade at Perillo.com, chrisperillo.com, and he's got his arcade of different web apps that he's built with AI. He's used vibe coding, he's used Gemini Pro, and he's built some pretty crazy stuff that look absolutely fun. And I want to be able to do that instead of just basic stuff. So I guess I'm waiting until I get Gemini Pro. I'm going to try to pay for an annual subscription so that I don't have to worry about paying for it every month. But having access to Gemini Pro will probably have a better impact on what I do with AI. And I need to upgrade my computer's memory. Like, I need more RAM. My PC is operating at 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's a pretty old PC. I don't have money to burn to buy a new PC, so I got to work with what I have. I've always been that type of person. I've always used what I've had to make it work. And obviously it's working because, people are not complaining. But in order for me to actually do this AI stuff, I do need to expand my memory on my PC. So I need to add more RAM to it. The internal drive, I'm not too concerned about. I have 512 gigabytes of SSD. So solid state drive. So I think I'm good there when it comes to the storage. I just need to upgrade the RAM in order because it can execute some of the AI commands that I give it, but 8 gigabytes of RAM is like bare minimum to execute AI prompts in order to build something using AI to have it code up something for you. It's like the bare minimum, right? 8 gigabytes of RAM. Which I think the iPhone 17 has that. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM. My Pixel 10 has 12. The 10 Pros have 16 gigabytes of RAM. So again, like I said, you can see where the priorities are. Apple versus Google, right? Apple, they tell you guys Apple Intelligence AI because they want you to know that, like they want you to look at them and be like, hey, they're about AI too, but they're not really good about AI. You have a really good PC? I bet you do, man. I bet you do. And if you want to share the specs of your PC, go ahead, man. You're fully authorized for bragging rights right now to like say like what your PC build is. Mine is pretty generic and pretty underpowered. I'll tell you that right now. And I didn't even build mine. I bought it. I bought it used in order for me to be able to do more podcasts, more live streamings, to edit video. And, for entertainment, to watch movies and stuff like that. Like, I plug in the HDMI cable into my TV in my bedroom and I watch movies that way. Technically, I have 3 monitors. I have my TV on my TV stand next to my my computer desk. And then I have my 2 monitors on my desk. I believe my monitors are 20-inch monitors. I do want to upgrade my PC. I do want to get a more stronger, more powerful PC. I've been looking like on OfferUp to see what people's selling out there, because there's a lot of like gamers that they get a new setup, and so they have their old setup, their old gaming PC that has got some good specs that they're like putting up for sale, maybe like $150-$200. And it's like a $700 build, and so I'm always looking out, but I'm a family guy at first, right? So before I spend any money on things like that, I got to make sure that 1, all my bills is covered. 2, that, my wife and my kids are covered. 3, that my pets are covered. And then 4, it's me. It's, what Tito would like. I'm always number 4 on that list. And with the way that today is, yeah, people literally live check to check. I can honestly admit to you guys, I live check to check. So I really have nothing really left over, because I also have an emergency savings, which is I recommend everybody doing. If you don't have an emergency funds savings, you need to start one, because you never know what's going to come down the road. And if you don't have anyone to help you, you got to help yourself. So, and you don't have to put a lot into it to start off with. You can start off with $5. Put $5 away. Don't touch it. Like, the way that I do it is I have another bank account that I don't memorize. Like, I don't remember I have this bank account. Like, it's not in the forefront of my mind. And money goes in there. Like $2, $3, $5, $10, whatever I can spare goes in there to collectively build over time, so that if I ever run into an emergency, I have emergency funds. That's when that bank will come to my head, like, oh yeah, I have this checking account, or I have this savings account. Let me withdraw out of it. You know, I never used to do that. I used to think it was stupid when I was younger. And every time that I would hit a wall so hard, it was always like going around asking my sister for help, asking my dad for help. And when they were just like, build you an emergency fund, I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, what could it hurt? Absolutely right. I know it sounds stupid that, you know, I didn't believe in it from the jump, that it took me going through some bad times in order to learn that. Better late than never, and you're never too old to learn. But that's something that I would pass as advice to anybody out there. But, you know, as for me, yeah, I don't have a lot. So I work with what I have. And you know, I've always been this way. This is like the foundation of my YouTube channel from way back in 2011. That's what people came to my channel for, because people couldn't afford the iPhones. They couldn't afford, you know, the Samsungs. So when I got things like the LG Stylo, when I got things like, you know, the Moto E, the, you know, whatever budget device there was out there, I showed people how to maximize the most out of it. So you didn't have to spend $700-800 on the phone when you could get a phone for like $150 and it perform and at least do 50% or more of what the flagships could do. Today, things have changed, right? Flagships are now like $1,000. Base flagships are $700, and then mid-ranges are like $400 to $500, right? Everything's gone up in price. We pay more for phones. We absolutely do. Yeah. I went to school of hard knocks, man. You know, that's how I'm a hard-headed SOB. I'll tell you that much right now. On a personal note of me, I'm hard-headed. Anyone on the Instagram side that knows me, that watches this, they can comment, and if they know me for years, they can tell you how much of a hardhead I am. I think that's one of the things that frustrated my dad when I was growing up. My dad would always look at me and he'd always say, "Why do you insist on learning the hard way?" That was like my dad's like main line that he would tell me a lot in my adolescent years is, "You seem to want to learn everything the hard way." When I was locked up in juvie, my dad would come visit me and would be like, "Yeah, see, you want to learn the hard way. Now you're stuck in here for the summer. You're missing out." Oh, my dad would rub it in too when I did something stupid and I got locked up. When I was locked up in DH, HYCF, and my dad, you know, he would come visit me. He would make it known. He'd be like, "Your friends are at the beach today, probably checking out the honeys, and you're locked up." Oh, my dad would rub it in because he wanted me to break the cycle of my stupidity, right? I did stupid things as a teenager growing up. I regret them, but they made me who I am today. So at the same time, I don't regret them. I feel like those things had to happen in order for me to be where I am today. Because right now, I'm not gloating, but I do feel like that, I'm a pretty good dad. I won't say I'm the greatest dad out there. My kids think so, but I don't think so, because I feel like I can always do more for my kids. However, I don't feel like that I'm failing them. I feel like that, you know, I do the best that I can. And you know what? I'm here. They have their dad. You know what I mean? So some of the things I'm not saying like I didn't grow up with a father. What I'm saying is that I could have been in my spoiled, stupid ways back in the day, and maybe today I would have been an a-hole. Who knows? I don't know. I will never know that. Absolutely crazy. We're almost to the 1 hour mark. So here in a little bit, I am going to be letting you guys go. This is the cool down session of the podcast. For those that are joining in now, I am about to end sometime here soon. But I just want to let you guys know, does the iPhone 17 cook the Pixel 10? No, it doesn't. If you want to know why, catch the replay of the live stream. Hopefully on Instagram, the replay is there. I don't know. It was like my first time really live streaming to Instagram as well. And if this goes good, then I may do this quite frequently. What up, B Tech? But yeah, I may do this more frequently where I simulcast to YouTube and to Instagram. On closing, I said it in the beginning of the live stream. I gave my condolences to the Kirk family. At ending of this live stream, I do want to tell people to, whether you like the guy or you don't like the guy. I don't know. I'm kind of losing my faith in humanity because I didn't think people could be that heartless to celebrate somebody's passing. Please don't do that. Don't like the guy. You don't like the guy. It's your right. You're entitled to your own right to dislike who you want to dislike and like who you want to like. You're entitled to celebrate in your head, in your home. You can run around with banners and stuff like that, and hey, that's great. But to go to social media like TikTok and record yourself celebrating someone's passing, that's inhumane and that's despicable. Like, I don't know how you can champion someone being unalived. Yeah, I've been live for an hour, man. So if you want to know what I'm talking about between the iPhone 17 and the Pixel 10, you gotta watch the replay. Do I worry about where things is heading to? Yeah, every day. And I don't worry about it for me. I worry about it for my kids. I worry about it. I've heard people's stance on a lot of things. I've heard people talk about, so and so's like a particular person from Germany. I've heard all this mess, and I don't know if people actually hit the books and know history. But if you're going to harm somebody because they have a difference in opinion from you, you are enacting on that thing that you accuse others of being. Let's get that real and let's be honest about it. Can't call somebody a dictator when you yourself are acting as somebody who is a dictator. Me, I accept anybody and everybody. I don't care what your political views are. I don't care what your religious views are. That doesn't bother me. I judge you for the character of who you are. Who you present to me is how I'm going to judge you by. And if you're a cool person, regardless of what you believe in, you're cool with me. I will never trample over your thoughts. So don't do it to me, is all I would say. And we're going to be kosher. I don't like being told how I'm supposed to live my life. I live my life the way I live my life. I make mistakes, I fall, then it's up to me to get my ass back up on my feet and move forward. It doesn't affect anybody else. Right, we can't let hatred go that far. It's got to stop. It has to. For people out there who's like, oh, he should have had Secret Service. He's not a politician. He's an everyday citizen. Why would he have Secret Service, scanning the whole campus and stuff like that? I really want people to kind of just think about things, right? Right, yeah. I celebrate people's differences. I always find it intriguing to know somebody's, religious beliefs, religious backgrounds, their cultural backgrounds. Okay? If you ever want to win me over in under 10 seconds, food is the key. God, I love tasting different types of foods. I'm literally, isn't it ironic? I'm type 2 diabetic, but yeah, I celebrate being a fat ass and trying different types of food. I know my wife, she absolutely gets annoyed with that. Like I have no real limitations of no. Like, even if it's something that people would say is absolutely disgusting, I will try it one time to say that I have tried it. I had a buddy of mine who was like, in Cambodia, they eat tarantulas. So are you going to fry a tarantula and eat it? I'm like, yeah, they teach me how to make it. Or I'll just go to a restaurant that makes it and I'll eat it. There's places in Cambodia where they eat snake, everything. They don't waste nothing, including the bones. Because in Cambodia, there's hardly any cows. So one of the ways that they get their calcium is through eating bones. And so there's almost like you would eat a snake's bone, its vertebrae, everything. Like, yes, of course, I will. To say that I've tried it. There's only one food I am slightly scared to try, but I'm still up to trying it. And that is in South Korea, they've been known to eat live octopus, like live mini octopuses, and they say that you have to do it a certain way because if you do it wrong, the octopus's suction cups could latch into your throat and suffocate you. So it is dangerous to eat. Well, I'm willing to try it. I'll just say a prayer because I mean that would be like the oddest thing. But if it does happen, and it did happen, I wouldn't want you guys to feel sad. I would want you guys to make to joke about it, to laugh, right? Like Tito, he's God. Talker of tech, loving father, loving husband, was taken out by a mini octopus. Like, I would not be offended in the afterlife on that. I would probably be rolling in the ground, cracking up with you, because I think the one thing that people need to have nowadays that I'm happy that I still have is a freaking sense of humor. I don't know about eating a mini octopus being a healthy choice, though. I mean, but you tell me. I'm not against violence in TV shows, movies, music, videos, video games. It is not real. Yeah, and then, the other thing where people are talking about, where they say like, pew-pews don't unalive people unalive people, and then people are talking about, what about, drugs? What about this? There's a difference. People need to understand there's a difference in that. A drug addict goes to a drug dealer and purchases drugs. The drug addict had the control the entire time. The drug addict walks in with the money and says, give me one, and pays the dealer for it, and walks away and shoots it, smokes it, snorts it, or however they do it. Right? A person who's a victim, unalived by a pew-pew, they never had the choice. The person with the pew-pew had the choice. So all this argument about, oh, well, if you're going to say that, that pew-pews don't unalive people, that people unalive people, then you have to apply it to drugs and all these other bad things. And it's like, no. Because in those cases, the victim is not the victim that's doing said action. But, in the instance of what happened to Charlie, he didn't have control. He had no say. People could be like, oh, well, all he had to do was shut the fuck up. Well, then where's freedom of speech? If the roles were reversed and it was somebody that you believed in, that you identified with, that you agreed with, and they were unalived, I'm pretty sure you're gonna go off on the pew-pew person. All right? It's always when it's on the opposite side it becomes okay, and that's where I disagree. It should never be okay. It should never be okay. And it looks like yeah. So I also did a test, so I can confirm on Instagram we're only given 1 hour to live stream from a streaming software because the live stream ended on Instagram. It is done and over with. I believe. Or I don't even think it was really on. Oh my god, the whole entire time that that I was live on, oh man. Let me know if you guys hear double audio right now. This is just a test at this point. I'm gonna stay live a little bit longer, but it did not go live on Instagram when I clicked it earlier. So everything that I said in the last hour was not broadcasted on Instagram at all whatsoever. Can someone give me a sound check? Can someone let me know? Give me a sound check. Let me know if you guys hear like double audio or if it sounds clear. Yeah, I said so when I was setting it up. I set up the stream key and everything. That's why I thought it was working, but I was like, wait, I don't see the live button, but I thought it was working, but then it wasn't working. And now I realize it wasn't working. What the fudge? Yeah, I am live now. And I guess this will be the first time that it's actually a test on Instagram. And next time that I go live, I will make sure I'm live at the same time on Instagram. So everyone on IG, I'm so sorry. But let me just say this. If you want to catch like the full thing of the live stream, go to my YouTube channel and you guys can find out. But just to, short answer is does the iPhone 17 cook the Pixel 10? The answer is no. I mean, it's actually kind of cool though because I see the live stream happening on Instagram. So I don't know. It's open discussion now. Let's go live a little bit longer. It's open discussion. What do you guys want to talk about? Hello, Gene. Glad to have you here. Audio is perfect. Thank you, Michael. What do you guys want to talk about? No limitations, except that it's got to be tech. Let's not do politics. But what limitations? Not limitations. What do you guys want to talk about? Anything you guys want to talk about other than the iPhone 17? Or if you guys want to talk iPhone 17, we can. If you guys want to talk about Pixel 10, we can. If you guys want to talk about, Boost Mobile, Echo Star, Starlink, all that stuff, we can. I'll go live for another half an hour. No wrestling. I don't do wrestling on here. You know that. We do wrestling on the Deathlock podcast. That is for sure. On the Deathlock podcast, we do that wrestling talk there. Let me ask you guys this. Since the subject was, iPhone 17, Pixel 10, who's getting the iPhone 17? Who's upgrading? You sent me a video on Messenger. I'll go check it out. Did you just send it right now? Because I'll go check it out later. How about them giving 1,100 trade-in credit for an iPhone 13 Pro and up? Yeah, that's crazy insane, right? But that's good though, because imagine if you traded in an iPhone 13 Pro and say it was in immaculate condition, no dings, scratches, cracked displays, cracked back, cracked camera lens, anything like that. And you go in, you could get an iPhone 17, like the base model iPhone 17, 256 at $799. You can get that phone free and still have credit left over. Maybe get you some AirPods Pro 3s. I think if anyone is making money off that video, the money should go straight to... Yeah, it should. I agree with you. It should go. That's the reason that, I didn't do like a dedicated live stream to what happened yesterday, and I won't do one. Like, of course, I'll give my condolences to the Kirk family, but I'm not going to go and speak on it. Let that man's soul rest in peace because he's done enough. He's done a lot, and it was unfair what happened to him. But I'm going to let his family grieve, and I'm going to let his soul rest in peace, and that's the end of that discussion. Looks like you're getting a new iPhone. Are you getting the Pro or the base model? Go Pro. Might as well go Pro, B-Tech. Might as well go Pro. I think you got a 13 Pro, right? So you could actually trade yours in, and hopefully you get at least, 1,100 in credit. You can get the iPhone 17 Pro. I mean, people are talking about what it's gone back to. It's gone back to a full aluminum, body display. It's gone back to, I'm hoping that with the Pro models of the 17s that it makes it easier to change the battery now that there's only that one section area about the glass. You can just remove that off, swap the battery out, and then reseal the glass back onto the aluminum frame. That's what I'm assuming how they're going to do battery changes, which is good. The fact that they put everything in the upper camera plateau is what they're calling it, that top section area of the cameras, the logic board, everything is up there, the A19 processor chip. And so the actual body of the phone is, more for the battery. I mean, to me, that's a pretty good idea. But then again, it's not really a good idea. How about Boost Mobile Echo Star is a mess? I don't really think that they're a mess. This is the only option they really had. Yes, I'm sad that Boost Mobile won't be the fourth carrier in the United States. Their fourth carrier dreams have passed on. They sold Spectrum to AT&T. They sold their mid-band Spectrum, right? 50 hertz of their low band and mid-band. So their 3.4 gigahertz DoD N77, they sold to AT&T, along with some other low-band Spectrum. Okay, granted, they did that. That's fine. You know what I mean? The fact that they're decommissioning their Boost 5G towers, okay, that's fine. Hopefully, and maybe they just sell those towers off. Maybe, Starlink acquires those towers, right? Because, SpaceX acquired AWS-4. They've acquired PCSH from EchoStar. EchoStar and SpaceX are jointly working together for a direct-to-device connectivity for satellite data connections for your smartphone. They both had the same general idea. It's just basically EchoStar's partnering up. And then all of this, was it? SpaceX is paying 17 billion, which is odd, but the way that it goes is 8.5 billion is paid cash to EchoStar. The other 8.5 billion is in stocks, and then 2 billion of it is actually going to their debt. Then the 23 billion that AT&T is paying out is going to EchoStar's debt. Like, EchoStar has debt, interest on their loans that they must pay in order to keep their loans alive, right? This is just like if you went to the bank to get a loan. If you borrowed $1,000 and you owed 10% interest on that $1,000, and that loan was a 12-month loan, at the end of the year, if you can't pay back the $1,100 to the bank, you can extend your loan by paying the interest off, which is the $100, and then your loan is not, it's not late. So a lot of the stuff that EchoStar did was, in fact, to take care of the debt that they have, that has matured, that they must pay to the banks. Because if not, literally, EchoStar could have to sell everything that they have: Boost Mobile, Dish Network, all that. They would have to sell it anyways in order to pay back the loan. Kind of like what happened with Ant Mobile, right? So I wouldn't say Boost is a mess. It's just very unfortunate how things went out for them. And Boost customers are going to feel the pinch because now with the shutdown of Boost Native 5G means that Boost customers are reliant on, AT&T or T-Mobile. And I honestly feel like that, EchoStar and Boost Mobile is now reconsidering. Before, they were very arrogant about, wanting to end their MVNO agreement with T-Mobile, but now it's going to look like they're going to need T-Mobile. So they cannot end their MVNO agreement with T-Mobile because Boost Mobile is a hybrid of what they call themselves now and will be reliant on AT&T and T-Mobile connection, as well as direct to device. If this all pans out and works out with their partnership with SpaceX and Starlink, then Boost customers would be able to take advantage of direct to device connectivity, which is the future of where we're going with smartphones. I would say in the next 10 years, we would start to see direct to device. SpaceX has already launched a bunch of satellites for Starlink, and Elon calls these satellites cell site towers. Yeah, they're not constructed towers on land. They're, obviously a satellite constellation orbiting our planet, but they are gearing up for this direct to device satellite. What up, Jane? Glad you're back. So yeah, that's, one of the things that I would say, it's not a mess. It's not a total mess for Boost Mobile. It's just unfortunate, and they will not be considered the fourth carrier in the United States. They won't. I'll just get my iPhone from Apple directly. If that's where the $1,100 credit's coming in, B-Tech, for sure, man. Get it from them. And then do an unboxing and a review, and I'll live vicariously through your unboxing. I will live vicariously through that. Hey, look at that. The final boss is on the Instagram side. Or was. I don't know if he's still there. Like, it shows me who pops in on the live stream on the Instagram side. I want to try the Apple T-Mobile finance thing that the iPhone comes unlocked if ordered from Apple with T-Mobile financing. But hey, man, why not, right? It's unlocked, so if you want to use multiple carriers on it, you'd be able to. You would have the T-Mobile eSIM installed, and you would have, whatever other carrier you want to use installed, right? That's the thing with with Pixel 10s, and I believe with Pixel 10s, there's like 2 slots for for eSIMs, so it can carry a maximum of 8 eSIM profiles in it, 4 on one and 4 on the other. So I literally could have like 8 carriers on there, but we don't have. We still operate with a DS mode, so dual SIM, dual standby. So you couldn't have all 8 SIMs active at the same time. It wouldn't work that way. Xfinity Mobile, Spectrum Mobile has made an agreement with T-Mobile to provide services to business customers. Verizon will still be used for residential customers. I would love to see Xfinity Mobile or Spectrum Mobile become the fourth carrier in the United States, but of course they would have to build out their own infrastructure. They cannot be relying on um, Verizon and T-Mobile for their customers' network connectivity because that just states them as an MVNO. And the whole point of being the fourth carrier in the country is that you operate as a mobile network operator. You have your own infrastructure built out, your customers connecting to your own towers and not, connecting to another tower. Even though, yes, I know some people are like, well, we have roaming. Yeah, that's roaming. But you don't have full access to the competitor's network. If you're roaming, you're like gonna be in last place when it comes to priority of who connects to the network. I can't wait for my new iPhone. Oh, you already ordered it? Did you order it, B-Tech? Tell us and let us know if you ordered the new iPhone. Just throw us a bone. Xfinity? I don't believe they have their own network. I've never heard anything on them of having their own network. I thought Xfinity used Verizon for their data. Hold on. Let's see. Xfinity Mobile uses Verizon's cellular network to provide a cellular service, acting as a mobile virtual network operator. So no, Xfinity, was this Xfinity that we were questioning, or hold on? Yeah, Xfinity doesn't have its own network. Yeah, none of the cable companies like Cox Mobile, Xfinity, Spectrum. None of these guys run and operate their own mobile network. They operate like for internet. They have their own internet, like fiber, or they have those things. That's theirs, but yeah, they don't have their own actual cell towers. Oh, that's funny. My wife is messaging me on Google Chat. Let me ask you guys this question. How many of you guys actually do video calling versus regular phone calls when it comes to family and friends? I'm not talking about businesses, just family and friends. How many of you guys actually do video calling? Is anyone actually interested in getting the iPhone 17 Air? The iPhone 17 Air, like I said earlier in the live stream, for those on Instagram watching, you guys, I'm sorry that it didn't start on the Instagram side, so you guys missed that out. But I will say it now for you guys on the Gram side. To me, the iPhone 17 Air is a novelty. Anyone that buys that phone is a diehard Apple fan or has just recently become an Apple fan and wants to have something that they can say, hey, just in case Apple decides to do away with it, right? Because if the iPhone 17 Air doesn't sell the way that Apple expects it to, they're going to kill it, right? The same way that they did with the mini series, right? There's no more iPhone minis. After the 13, they killed that. So if the iPhone 17 Air doesn't sell for what they expected it to, then it's going to get killed off. So with that being said, if you are a diehard Apple fan and you buy the iPhone 17 Air, it would make sense, right? Because you would want an Apple product that you could say is like exclusive, The fact that it has weaker battery is more of a setback. Like I wouldn't pay $1,000 for the iPhone 17 Air when it's going to have a smaller battery than the base model iPhone 17, and it would require you to buy a MagSafe battery pack to attach to the back of it just to achieve more battery life. It's like, then what's the point? Get the iPhone 17 base model. The fact that it only has one camera sensor on its camera plateau at the top, to me, it's like, why? Honestly, I feel like that if anything, if they had to raise the price on the iPhones this year, the iPhone 17 256 at $899 would have been fine. The iPhone 17 Air at $799 would have been fine. They did what? They did raise the prices on the Pros. So that was something that Apple fans will have to eat, is a higher price on the iPhone 17 Pros. Regular calls, no video calls. I figured. I always wondered why people don't do video calling. Like I do video calling. My wife calls me on her break at work. We use Google Meets. We video call each other. It's always good nowadays to see her and her see me, and yeah, we can read each other better with visuals than just with just voice only, right? Yeah, not worth it. And the cost with only one camera sensor. Yeah, I mean, there are some things that they've done with the cameras to make things a little bit better, right? Um, all right, Joe, the San Joaquin Valley. Take it easy, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe out there, right? Grab you some lunch. Well, breakfast is still like 9:17 a.m. in the morning. Grab you a nice breakfast, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. I probably won't go live again tonight. I got things to do, so maybe tomorrow I might do another live. Maybe this Saturday. Yeah. So with the Pixel 10s, they're great. They're solid. iPhone 17 doesn't cook the Pixel 10. Pixel 10 doesn't cook the iPhone 17. I think this year, when it comes to these companies' new devices, I think that fans of those devices on a retrospect side pretty much got some good things. One thing I didn't say in the beginning of the live stream, I'm gonna say it right now. I don't judge these phones based on the keynote. Like there were people who were like, that's how you do a tech unveiling event, because the way that Apple did it, Apple pre-recorded their stuff, right? And it was done at their headquarters, and it started off with the normal things that we always see. Tim Cook comes out and tells you guys why this is the best iPhones ever released. Well, you would be stupid to tell people that it wasn't the best iPhone ever released. Give me 1 second. 1 second, everybody, hold on. All right, everyone. Yeah, my wife was calling me. Yeah, she had something important to tell me real quick. But yeah, I don't judge these phones based on what type of keynote they have. Like I know people weren't fans of Jimmy Fallon doing the whole Made by Google event. I agree, right? Like some people didn't like it. It's not their cup of tea. Great, but I'm not gonna let how they unveiled the phones dictate what I think about the phones, right? That's a whole totally separate thing. It's like I will never tell anyone that the iPhone 17, isn't a phone to buy unless I've used it personally. I can make my assumptions based on, just some of the specifications of the phone that Apple puts out, but I really won't know unless I actually use it. And I can go into Best Buy and play with these things. It'll probably make me want to buy one. But then again, I already upgraded to the Pixel 10. So as far as a daily driver device, I'm not gonna drop $800 on another phone. I won't do that. Yeah. So I mean, by the way, BTech, when you went to Instagram, did you hear the audio pretty clearly on that? I don't remember if you told me in the chat. I'm looking back through it to see. That way, future live streams, I'm going to be simulcasting to YouTube and Instagram. Since I do share tech on Instagram, but mostly it's like photography. I like to take photos and then Oh, sounds fine. Okay. I had to go back and check. But yeah, mostly on the Instagram side. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram and you do have Instagram, follow me on there. Um, because I do a lot of the photography stuff on there. I'll put my tag in the chat. Now you guys can find me on the gram. Oh, okay, it was very clear. Cool. They fixed it because I remember it was like last year. I did a simulcast and it was live to Instagram, and on Instagram it had double audio. It was weird because how it was connected to Restream. I guess they fixed that, so it's better. I feel like it's better right now the way that it is. Like, I mean, I have, which is great that I have, two monitors because I have Instagram open on one monitor and Restream open on the other one, and I can see what's going on both. Right, so I can see what's going on the live stream and Instagram. I see people popping in, popping out. They're not too sure of me. My daughter just joined in the Instagram side, so my daughter's watching. I can tell because she's the latest person to join in. Latrell just joined in on the Instagram side too, so yeah, I can see who's on the gram side that's joining in. And then, of course, all of you guys on YouTube that's watching. It's just weird because the only thing that I find sad about simulcasting to both platforms is like all the YouTube comments show up on Restream. So I can see it in the comment section on Restream. But the Instagram comments don't show up on here. They stay on the Instagram side. So that's why you would have to have both the gram window open and your streaming software open. That way I can see comments. So pin my daughter's comment. I should be able to use emojis. Let's see. No, it won't let me. Never mind. It won't let me. But yeah. And FYI to people out there that's like, now we gotta wait for the Galaxy S26 to compare it to all these new phones. No. So technically, it would be the S25s that would compare against the Pixel 10s that would compare against the iPhone 17. Come January, February, when the Galaxy, 26 comes out, I don't know what they're going to call it. Rumors are they're going to call it the Galaxy S26 Pro. If that's what they're going to call it, then we'll be comparing that phone to the Pixel 11 to the iPhone 18. I really do need to grease some of the joints on my chair. You can hear it creaking. It is so funny. Absolutely funny. So FYI, because I'm only going to be on here for like 2 more minutes. I'm about to end the live stream. But if there's going to be a video today, I will let you guys know. Probably in the community section of YouTube, so always be checking that if you guys want to get like some updates on what's going to happen on the channel, all that type of stuff. I'll be updating over there, so I'll let you guys know. I think I'm probably going to be working on a super fast jellyfish comparison between the Pixel 9a and the Pixel 10. I might be doing that here today, or I might just record the video today, but then finish editing and doing all that stuff and upload it maybe tomorrow. That might be tomorrow's video. I don't know. I'm probably going to hang out and watch some more scary movies with my daughter. She was watching Halloween, the reboot Halloween, right? So not Rob Zombie's version and not the 1980s version, but she was watching the one I think came out like 2018. And some streaming platforms I know has Halloween, and then they have Halloween Ends, but they don't have Halloween Kills. I would love to watch all three. My daughter is like a big horror movie viewer. Like, she loves horror movies. And she doesn't scare easily. So it's like, it's really hard to find a scary movie that would make her scared. But she's like a big fan of the Conjuring series, the Ed and Lorraine Warren movies. She's a big fan of those. So she would love to absolutely watch all of them, right? We're talking like The Conjuring, the Annabelle, the Nun, the Curse of La Llorona, and yeah. We haven't seen the new one yet, but we will. Maybe I'll go live on the BTech channel to talk about the new iPhones. Yeah, why not, man? You have people come and watch you on your platform talk about the new iPhones. I said all I had to say at the very beginning. So everyone on Instagram didn't get that. And again, I'm so sorry that you guys didn't I didn't know that it didn't fully go live on Instagram. So they missed out a majority of what I had to say. Because I've been live now for an hour and a half. On the Instagram side, it's only been like 30 minutes. But I do know that on Restream, it tells me that, Instagram only has a 1 hour limit for live streams. That's the limitation that Meta put on the Instagram side, which is so crazy because on the Facebook side, you can go live as long as you want. But instead of bitching and complaining, I'm appreciative because being able to go live and multi-stream from 2 platforms, even if it's only a 1 hour limitation on Instagram, it's far better than not being able to at all. Because I've been wanting that for such a long time. It'd be odd to like live stream to YouTube and then have to have a phone set up to live stream to Instagram separately. It would be so weird. So I'm glad that they allowed me to do it on both ends. Very much so. So anyways, I will let you guys go. Obviously, BTech's thinking about going live. So if you guys want to get, discuss more about iPhone 17, head over to his channel like the next 30 minutes or so, or less, depending on how fast it takes him to set up his live stream, and catch his live streams. Actually, you know what? To make it easy, turn on notifications for his channel so you know when he goes live, and you don't have to guess when he is live. But to wrap it up, basically, those people saying that the iPhone 17 cooks the Pixel 10, that is a bunch of bogus BS, basically. They both have their strengths. They both have their weaknesses. Shout out that, iPhone fans don't get ripped off this year because they got some good upgrades with the iPhone 17. I think the iPhone 17 base is a good upgrade. I think the Pro models are a good upgrade. I think that the iPhone 17 Air is a novelty item, a gimmick, not really worth it. If you absolutely must get an iPhone 17 Air, wait until it goes down in price or they have sales on it. Get it for much cheaper. Don't get it right now for $1,000 right now. That's just crazy for what you're getting for it, right? I would say if they drop it down to $700 on the sale, then fine, go ahead and get it. $500 would be amazing. Get it then. But yeah, getting it for $1,000? No way. Much less. And of course, too, like the weirdness. The whole strap to make it like a purse where it hangs like a purse off of you. Like, I don't know why people went bananas over that, but that's just weird. But anyhow, yeah, I think the phones, they have their good points. They have their bad points. What resonates with you? If you feel like iPhone is so much better than Pixel, that's the reason why you should get an iPhone. If you love all the features that Google Pixels offer, that's why you should get a Pixel. And, at the end of the day, it's you who spends your money on what you want to get. So even if I have an opinion, my opinion doesn't freaking matter. It will not matter. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to live with the phone that you bought. So buy what you really feel like you want to get. Keep it at that. And if people are going to keep arguing about, oh, iPhone got this, iPhone got that, and Pixels, remember this. Can't argue with a Pixel fanboy because the one question they're going to keep asking you guys is what happened to Apple Intelligence, and that's a real standoff grounded point because they're still telling you guys about Apple Intelligence, but Apple Intelligence is not even fully baked yet, right? Whereas on Pixels and on other Androids, not just Pixels only, but other Androids can use it. Even Apple can use it. Gemini is there. You could either use Gemini or ChatGPT for all the AI stuff. But yes, on my iPhone, I use Gemini. I'll be real with you guys. I use Gemini. And if I upgraded to the iPhone 17, I would use Gemini still. I'll leave it at that. You guys, be cool, be safe. Leave your thoughts, comments, concerns if you're watching as a replay viewer, #replay crew. And then leave a comment. Your thoughts, whatever. Emotional outbursts. All is welcome. I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all be cool and be safe out there. Aloha.